to get us audio here.
Oh, there's the
And
sound.
we can hear some stuff.
Spin.
We've got Thor in game.
Let's
All right,
go.
Laramie, so walk us through Thor really quick while I get the bot set up.
Of course. So the first thing, I guess, which might be not the most obvious to you guys, but should hopefully be once you start to look at him in game and be able to turn him around and all that good stuff, is that he's had a model update. So he has a modified look to kind of get him up to the more modern standards of what belongs in Smite 2. So he's got some adjustments to his cape and his armor and his hair, and across the board just feeling really, really nice and new and shiny. Very exciting stuff across the board in terms of the visuals. And of course, you guys can see there he's also got updated model as well for his wall. Very good stuff. But let's actually talk about the gameplay, because of course the visuals are nice. They're awesome. But I know that the meat and potatoes here will be about those gameplay changes. So the first thing I want to talk about is just a small quality of life change to Tectonic Rift, which is his 2. Thor is now able to cancel Tectonic Rift by refiring the ability. Yippee! I know we asked for this for a long time.
I got an error message.
Oh no, it's an ensure. That'll
We'll
happen
pass it along.
sometimes. Yep, that is still a little bit work in progress, of course. So anything that you see here today does have, you know, some amount of changes still to come.
Hey, we're in active
running
development
fast.
chat.
Yep.
You know? True
So-
alpha.
True alpha moment. But yeah, so Thor is able to cancel this ability. This was definitely a much harder thing to do in Smite 1, but now that we're in Smite 2, this was as simple as a couple of checkboxes, and it was very, very nice.
Maybe I
See?
should stop firing the 2 so fast.
It might have to do with, you know, some firing of the abilities back
Yep.
to back. So just nice and easy there, and
We'll
then we'll
chill.
probably be good. But yeah, this gives players a lot more control over the player blocking wall, similar to gods like Ymir and Anhur. And then we've also got a brand new passive mechanic, which is called Thunderstruck.
There we go.
So essentially, this is just an update on top of Warrior's Madness. Warrior's Madness will still stay. That's anytime you're near a god, you still get that power buff, which is still really nice. This was previously just tied to Anvil of Dawn, and after landing from Anvil of Dawn, you gain it for 6 seconds. These durations can also stack. So if you Anvil of Dawn into Berserker Barrage, you can have it for up to 9 seconds. The damage also scales with Thor's level and his strength. So he is going to be a strength guy, pretty much through and through. So your strength will make those AoEs do a lot more damage, which is feeling really nice. And you have certainly seen the power of getting Thunderstruck.
Yes, that's super cool.
But yeah, that's essentially most of the updates here, but you can see that there's been a lot of sound updates as well. I know that the wall has had a really big improvement on the sound. It kind of really does have that kind of echoing, crashing thunder coming through. And it's so nice to actually be able to feel the impact when you're landing down from the ultimate as well. I know that's like one of the coolest feelings in Smite, just as a whole, is going up and slamming back down. So across the board, just humongous improvements for Thor in terms of those visual audio flares. And then the gameplay should also be feeling nice and new as well. Hopefully a couple nice quality of lifes there. And across the board, I'm loving what we've been able
the
to do
community's
for it.
been waiting for Thor since Alpha Weekends.
I know.
It's
Where's
just so
Thor?
awesome to be able to
Thor's
get him
here
into the
now.
game. More thunder.
More
Indeed.
thunder. Yeah, he's bringing it. He is bringing it for sure. He's also got, of course, the updated card art coming through. Got a new icon to kind of give him more of the like flair that we were looking for from Thor. Always a classic, you know, not changing the formula too much on one of the most iconic characters in Smite of all time. So again, hopefully we have retained that iconicness from OG Smite, but just bumped him up to the modern era and made him feel really nice, really smooth, and awesome.
That is Thor.
I can't
Coming
wait
your
to
way early next week. I
dunk
can't wait to
some
see the Thor
dueling.
ults, you know?
I know,
like,
we're gonna see crazy Thor ults.
Oh my
gosh.
goodness.
The
Did you just
plays
say
are
you
gonna
just
go-
can't wait to gank dual lane? Is
Yeah.
that the first thing that comes to your mind? Oh my gosh, let me please.
Listen. I'm gonna go sit in the Gold Fury pit. No one's gonna hear me, and I'm gonna go up.
my
I'm gonna come
gosh.
down. I'm gonna slam the wall, and I'm gonna get a double
There
kill.
you
It's
go.
just that easy.
All right, well that is Thor. One more Anvil of Dawn before we transition
One
to
more.
our
Woo!
next character.
He, if you guys remember a little bit back on Titan Talk, oh god, I don't remember exactly what time it was, but it was at least a month ago where we had that poll about Longbeard, Shortbeard. This is going to be Longbeard Poseidon is our default guy, but he's gotten a couple of touch-ups across the board. As you guys saw, he got the really nice new touch-up to the high poly model, which again gets kind of, I don't know what the exact art term is, but it gets like cast onto the low poly model to get those details kind of etched in, which feels really nice. So he is going to look really nice and crisp and clean. And updated water is always a blessing on top of the updated Kraken. The visuals are better than ever. And that's just kind of covering it on the visual side of things. But let's talk gameplay. The majority of his gameplay is revolving around Trident as an ability. So Trident is now a basic attack cancel. So any of you guys that love to do your quick basic attack cancels, basic attack Poseidon, it now does function as a basic attack cancel. But that's the small
not
change.
all.
That's the quality of life change. So let's talk about the actual +1 here, which is that if you use Tidal Surge, which is his 1, while Trident is active, you make triple the waves. Yeah. You love to see a little bit of extra just water coming through.
Water.
Especially in those situations where, you know, you need to knock back, or you are, let's say like you're fatalising up to someone and you want to kind of like shotgun blast the knockbacks. That also feels great. You're also kind of doing a lot of that extra damage as well. So kind of boosting up the maneuverability of Poseidon, having a little bit more effectiveness in terms of, you know, if you're able to knock multiple people back, which is definitely new and exciting. Set even more people up with your Kraken Whirlpool combo. Feels really, really nice. Someone in chat says making waves with Poseidon changes.
Nice,
yes, indeed.
nice.
Yes, indeed. So a lot more control in terms of where you're going to be able to place people with Poseidon 1 and all of that good stuff. But of course, we've also got the updated timings for Whirlpool from Smite 1 when we adjusted them earlier. I think it was earlier this year. Time flies.
I know.
But yeah, across the board, Poseidon, relatively similar, but with just a couple nice quality of life and that really exciting +1 when it comes down to how you're going to be able to now affect team fights. Your positioning is going to matter a lot more as well in terms of how close you are to someone when you're using that one, and then what kind of other effects that you can do with those knockbacks, combos with your teams, etc. Kind of mind tricks a little bit as well. You know, you're so used to Poseidon just shooting the line that you know, maybe juke to left and right. You can't do that anymore. Gotta be a little bit more careful around Poseidon, which is a very
I will say
cool
the auto 2 auto 1 combo feels really good, especially if you're just
really
like right in someone's face. Like that's a lot of damage really quick.
It really is, yeah. Auto tech cancels are just so fun, and you know, Poseidon is a character that can kind of flex into not quite ADC, but slight ADC, right? So we want to make sure that you are still going to be able to have some of that cool potential with that build if you want to do that, or even like a poly build, or I guess you could go Hydras, but he doesn't have strength scaling. He's full in scaling, so I mean, go for it if you want.
People have talked about Mirrodin on Poseidon.
Oh yeah, Mirrodin on Poseidon will also go crazy.
Yeah,
double auto attack cancel could be nice and exciting. But across the board, that's pretty much all of the new features for Poseidon. Just a lot
Kraken
of
looks so
visual
good.
updates. Yeah, I know. Bringing the Kraken over was a big task for
I
Art.
gotta go out in the lane.
Yeah, we gotta look at it in the sunlight. Let's bring it out
in the full glory.
Yeah, boom. Yeah, we're releasing that in just a couple days.
Yeah.
Dude.
Poseidon. Water looks great.
Yes.
Effects look great. Whole team killed it.
I just love how like nicely things flow in and out, you know what I mean? Like there's no popping out. It's just all so sleek feeling and smooth feeling. I've been really, really impressed with just how well the art team has integrated these new gods in so quickly to make them feel right at home with everybody else.
I believe Jordan, Sayman, a whole lot of people really did this up.
Cupid, of course. Cupid is brand new modelified. He is using, of course, the rig, well, I guess a modified rig from the cross-gen skin we saw earlier this year of the like
Court Archer. Yes.
Court Archer Cupid. So this is a brand new model, a brand new rig, and brand new effects as well across the board for Cupid. I guess the other thing that we should mention is that Cupid's voice pack is going to stay the same. It is unmodified, same exact voice pack, same exact Cupid, and you'll know him as soon as you hear him.
Yes.
A lot of the iconic sounds have also been retained, but there's
a lot of new stuff.
A lot of things that have changed with Cupid.
All right. Well, I think we should go to the passive first, shall we?
Yeah,
nice
let's do it.
fancy passive meter here.
Yeah, we got a brand new passive meter. So here is the update to the passive. It now stacks up to 16 times instead of 8 times. And you might be wondering, well, Larry, why does it stack up to 16 times? Well, that's because you are now able to consume it with your AO2 Share the Love. But before we get there, let's talk about why that happens. You also got a nice new visual. Visuals are
I
still
even
a little
noticed that, yeah.
work in progress across the board here. So we've been having a lot of discussions on how to make these feel really, really good and really like core to Cupid, especially because he's gotten these, really heavy visual changes to him across the board. And I mean, look at those animations. Like it feels like Cupid,
It's great.
but it feels like he belongs in Smite
Right?
with everybody else. And he just feels really, really still similar to
Right.
OG
He's
Cupid
going to sit
in
at
terms
the
of vibes,
grown-up
but
table next week for Thanksgiving, you know?
he will be at the grown-up table now, for sure. But let's talk about, I guess let's just show off the one, since that's one of the ones that has been relatively unchanged, but it's got a brand new look. I mean, look at those effects. Can we just say, like, our FX team has absolutely killed it with some of these details in there. Let's talk about the 2, though, because the 2 is where things start to get a little crazy. Cupid is a hybrid strength int scaler. He's got some int scaling in his kit. The first thing that we should talk about with this 2 is the fact that it now deals damage. And you go, Lermy, what do you mean it deals damage? There is a small circle that spawns whenever you use this ability. And in that area, you are throwing essentially another kind of heart bomb that explodes and then turns...
A heart grenade.
A heart grenade, yeah, you could say, that explodes into the 3 hearts. And you might also notice those hearts are in a different orientation than in Smite 1. And that is essentially to allow you to be able to maneuver around with it in a couple of different new ways. So I know that Cupid players really like the ability to stack up their hearts on walls to be able to get really big heals at the same time. So we wanted to kind of try this new formation of them to kind of let you, number one, put it in front of you at max range and be able to walk into it almost instantly. So if you are just like straight up walking forward and use the 2 at max range, you will be able to basically walk into that 2 right away, which is really nice. The other thing that you can do is that if you kind of see how they're aligned, you can choose either to go to the center heart, to the left one, or the right one, and dash through those to pick them up essentially right next to each other. So kind of giving you the ability to do the heart tech without being so specifically worried about stacking them up. So that's the first bit of changes in the 2, is that does damage, orientation has changed. Not only that, the heal for Cupid scales off of int, and then there is a new kind of reason that the passive is consumed on this ability, and that's because when you consume the passive, not only are you doing the increased damage, the increased healing that has, but you are also granting your teammates a buff dependent on your strength and int. So if you're building on a strength, you give your team a big strength buff. If you're building on an int, you're giving your team a big int buff. But again, this is only on the enhanced version of the AO2 and not on the regular version. So you get some extra fun buffs to share with your team. Wanted to make him a little bit more supporty angle without really pushing him into the tanky support. You can kind of still have Cupid play as this more like, what's the word that I want to use? Kind of like buffer, essentially, is what he does across the board. So that is 2 in a nutshell. Is it now deals damage in the circle. He throws out a little heart grenade, I guess you could say. It explodes into the hearts that you know and love, and still heals you, still mana restores you, still does all that stuff. And then, of course, if you have that enhanced passive, you are then also able to give buffs. On top of that, though, the AO3 now provides attack speed on the barrier, so, or I guess the trail, I guess is the thing I should say. The trail, when you're standing on it, you grant attack speed to your team. You also still have an attack speed buff, so you, after using the ability, get attack speed for 6 seconds. The trail lasts for 6 seconds. If you're standing on the trail, you gain double the attack speed. And so again, more supportive ideas coming to Cupid as a hunter. Finally, the last set of +1s coming to Cupid is that his ultimate, of course, still very big, circle, explodey, very cool, very fun. But now, all allies that are inside it get healed.
Hold on, let me see. Can I switch team? And
should be able to.
Here. Change team. Boom. There we go.
So his heal is a little bit nerfed on his 2. It does have scaling, of course, but yeah, this will do a burst heal to all teammates inside of the area. And the other set of changes is that it's going to have an increased efficacy of a stun now during the upgraded passive portion. So if it's enhanced with a passive, you are going to get a stun now instead of doubling duration of the mez, mostly because the double duration of the mez wasn't super useful in a lot of situations, so Cupid will get a stun now instead. We are definitely aware that adding a lot to this character's kit does, do quite a bit in terms of making him feel like he has a lot of useful tools, which is nice. We wanted to give Cupid players kind of that same familiar style of gameplay, but improve a lot of the aspects of him to kind of have that more supportive style and also be useful in carry as well. So, that was a lot of things.
A lot of things.
There were a lot of things with Cupid. I guess to TLDR you, passive, stacks 16 times. AO1, pretty much the same. AO2 now does damage, and it does consume the passive, so you get increased heal, increased damage. And then on top of that, if it is enhanced by the passive, you're giving it a buff. That scales with your stats as well. The 3 now grants attack speed on the trail. The ultimate now heals allies, and then it also stuns if it's enhanced. That's your super duper TLDR. You're welcome.
I will have giveaway in my Discord server for cross-gen skins and Smite. If you join it, let me know that you came from this video.